Hey, welcome into the Fearless Investor Podcast. You're listening to me, Kyle Stanley. Super excited and happy new year. Our first podcast of 2023. And it's starting off with a bang. We're teaching you how to raise money for all these deals that you're doing, especially if you're owning the properties. And no better person to bring in for this than Michael Hicks. I got to meet Michael at the Thanks for Visiting live event over in Vegas. And what I loved about Michael, he was down to earth, he was easygoing, and you could just tell the guy just had this natural, like, bring me all your money because I know what to do with it. And to me, that was just like, hey, anyone can really duplicate this as long as you have the confidence and you know exactly what you're looking for. And that's what I like about Michael is he is laser focused when other people are distracted. And that's what has helped make him successful. So let's go ahead and jump into it right now with Michael Hicks here on the Fearless Investor Podcast. Hey guys, welcome into the Fearless Investor Podcast. And if you are watching live here on the Six Figure Formula, I cannot wait to get to your questions here. And if you're not a part of the Six Figure Formula, you need to be. It's fearlesskyle.com/6FF. And all you have to do is go and check that out. And you can get access to our podcast guests before anyone else does. And we have an exclusive Q&A at the end there. And we've got Michael Hicks today. And I am so excited to have Michael on the show. Michael, you're coming in from Georgia in the Tennessee area as well. And really excited to just kind of talk to you today about raising capital and also unique stays. But first of all, what is your craziest, what's the wildest Airbnb story, short-term rental story that you got for us today?
I'm a builder of short-term rentals, so I don't deal with the management end as much as, my wife does. But we purchased a property. It was an old mobile home park that we were converting. And it had about 12 1960s and 70s mobile homes. And, I had my guys out there were looking the property over, and I make the comment, man, it sure would be nice if these things would just burn. And, this is March, July 4th, they went up in flames. And,
are you serious?
Yeah, they burnt to the ground. And I met my guys the next morning. This was like 2 a.m, the night of the 4th. And I met my guys the next morning. I said, man, you believe those trailers burnt last night? And one of them just starts grinning. And I said, what are you grinning about? He said, I'm just trying to help you out, boss. He burnt them to the ground.
What?
Arson investigator came out, dogs sniffing around. I had to meet with them. And, I straight up, I told them what happened, what was said, everything. So yeah, it was a similar story had happened to him, and he completely sympathized. There was no, arson because there was no financial gain from them being burnt down. But yeah, that was one of my craziest.
Oh my gosh. So
watch what you say.
Yeah, no kidding. Did you get reimbursed? Did insurance take care of it?
No, there was nothing to claim. I mean, we were tearing them down anyway. It was
you were tearing them down.
Demo.
Okay.
Yeah, we were tearing them down, and that's the whole reason we had to get them cleaned up anyway.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's crazy. Well, we have our own fire story, but I'll let that be another time. Well, Michael, I'm super excited to have you on the show today and to just talk raising money and unique stays. And like you said, you're doing a lot of building and you've been in real estate for a long time too. So if you don't mind, just kind of take a second, give people a little bit of your background and everything that kind of led you into this space.
Yeah, so I started off, going to college after high school, like, a lot of us do. And I made it 6 months. I realized it wasn't for me. So I came home and approached a developer friend of mine and said, hey, I want to build a house. So at 19, I built my first new construction home. At 20, I bought my first rental, and just kind of added over the years, all while working a W-2 at night or whatever I had to make ends meet. And probably a lot longer than I had to, but fast forward years later, we shifted from solely new construction to this new construction of unique short-term rentals. And that's kind of how we got into listing on Airbnb and operating short-term rentals that we have built.
And talk to me, what does unique short-term rental mean to you? Because you've got a lot of different looks. So I don't look at your site and see a bunch of cookie cutter properties. I see a bunch of different looking ones. So when you say unique, like, what does that mean to you?
So all of our properties, I've either drawn or taken a plan and modified it to fit the lot and fit, our need by adding square footage, removing walls, adding windows, things like that. But to me, unique is it's the accommodation as well as the location. So we will not buy unless we have an extreme view or if we have water. So, we're going to leave it there. We're going to have unique properties. And then we're going to use tree houses, shipping containers, A-frames, silos. We have a VW bus we're getting ready to place in a unit that'll be kind of a hippie hangout. The bed will be in the bus, that kind of thing. Just off the wall, crazy stuff.
That's awesome. When you say that you're building them, like, are you actually going in there with the hammer yourself, or are you hiring the team?
I'm hiring the team. I'm GC.
Okay. Yeah. No, and that's
I was painting doors last night at 8:00 because we have guests coming Friday night for our new A-frame tree house. And, if you're going to get it done, you got to get it done.
That's awesome. So you get your hands dirty a little bit too.
Every now and then.
What's your favorite of all the places that you have? You say you got the shipping containers, you got treehouse. Like, what's your favorite of all of them?
Every one of them has their own unique characteristics, but I guess the Belvedere box is the first shipping container we did. And after that would probably be my favorite build, just because, the story behind it. But the Sassafras treehouse is probably the most unique with the layout. It's hanging off a brow and overlooking a vast cove.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen and show people both of those. But you said there's a story behind the Belvedere box. You want to tell that?
Yeah, so that's kind of how the whole shift into the unique short-term rental started. I came home and I told my wife I want to build a shipping container home. And she just kind of laughed and said, okay. She probably didn't think I'd really do it, but I ordered a new shipping container, had it shipped to my office, and that's that one there.
Yeah.
I had it shipped to the office and then started cutting, using sawzalls and disc grinders. We cut the windows and doors and got it all set up. The whole intention on building it in my office parking lot was to show codes enforcement and planning and zoning and the city council and the planning commissions in my area that, hey, this can be a cool thing, because they were totally against tiny homes and shipping container homes. So I thought, well, I'll build this and show them how cool it could be. They didn't come. We had open houses, we had ribbon cuttings and all kinds of different things, and they didn't come. So there was no interest in learning or being open to it. But long story short, it sat in my office parking lot long enough that codes enforcement finally said, hey, you got to move this or we're going to cite you. So that was the motivation to get out and start looking for land. And once we realized, hey, we need to do this on some unique property and pull the views in with it, pull some water in with it, and make it two something specials instead of just one.
Wow, this is awesome. If you're watching right now, you see my screen. I'm sharing the screen here. This is located where again?
These are Northwest Georgia. We're probably 25 minutes outside of Chattanooga here.
Wow. And so that's a lake, right?
No, that's just it looks like it. That's the clouds. Yeah. We're above the clouds.
Oh my gosh, let me see if I can get back to that photo. Oh shoot, I lost it. Well, there was one photo there. The clouds were just like, I literally thought I was looking onto a lake there. Yeah, there's
a few that will lay.
That looks like a water. That looks like an ocean. Wow.
That's crazy. Some mornings when you wake up, the fog and the clouds will be right even with the bottom of that container, and it looks like you're looking right out at the ocean.
That's so awesome, man. So then you said that the tree house though seems to be the most popular. What made you want to do a tree house?
Again, just looking for the next different thing, trying to be different and fit outside of that box. And it was hard to. I tried to draw the plans for the tree house, and I just couldn't find anything that I loved. And building on stilts, it kind of changes things and where beams are placed. And so I bought the plans from Treehouse Masters, and then
wow,
that portion where the bathroom is, that to the right there on the screen, that's the bathroom. we added that 8 feet onto the end of the house.
Nice.
To give it a full bath there.
That's awesome. So, I mean, let's just take one of these. What are the, like, underwrite the deal for me? What are the costs? What's the time that it's taking to build something like this? What's the permit process looking like? Just kind of take me through that process.
Yeah. So, typically, these structures are harder to get permitted sometimes, just because the square footage minimum is the biggest thing. Then the tree house, they gave me a little bit of flack about they wouldn't let me attach it to a tree, so we built around trees instead of tying to them, which I like that anyway, because you don't have a dead foundation or a dying foundation underneath the tree house. But we try to go to the outlying counties and find less restrictive zoning. That way we're able to get through our permitting a little easier than, say, if we were to go in the city of Chattanooga and try to do the same. Mm-hmm. So that's the first part, is just getting out far enough to where your zoning is not as strict, and you're still close enough to drive, a half an hour to a bigger city. This treehouse, GC and myself, we were able to do it right around 140, and the lot cost was 135. And then we rent anywhere from 350 to 450 a night.
Wow, that's awesome, man. All right, so I mean, do you feel like a lot of just having the real estate background has really helped you to be able to make this transition into short-term rentals pretty simple?
Yeah, I mean, just knowing the real estate and knowing the market. I think so many people are just itching. There's no deals here, and they're itching to run all across the country and buy properties. And I've never done as well as I do in my own backyard. I know the property better. I mean, I was telling somebody the other day, when I started looking at property, I was looking in the newspaper, going through and writing down and driving through neighborhoods to look at these houses. It was before the MLS was online, and before you had bigger pockets and podcasts and things to learn from. We learned by getting out and just driving around and talking with others. So, knowing my area and knowing this 30-mile radius helps me to see a property and act quickly.
Nice.
So that would be the biggest help, is just, focusing in. Instead of trying to learn 10 markets, I'm focusing in on one.
That's so important, man, is knowing what you just said there. Knowing your own market is, to me, like, so many people I see get into this business and they build deep or they build wide instead of building deep, right? They go in and they say, hey, I've got an opportunity in Georgia, and I've got one in Florida, and I've got one in Maryland, and I've got them all these different places, but they never really truly learn their own market, or where they're supposed to be, or where they can put in the most amount of time. Do you see can you just talk a little bit more about the advantage of just learning your own market?
Well, and I'm not saying there's not a time to go wide, but I think you need to get deep first, right? Just knowing the market and being the person in your market. If somebody sees a piece of property, who do you think they call? They call me. If I'm working with these agents and they know that I'm looking for homes, and I go to networking groups and they know that I'm looking for vacant land on water, or I get calls all the time. I get leads naturally, organically, without having to send 6,000 postcards. And that's not to say I couldn't get more by doing those things, but I told somebody the other day, I'm let's see, Gen Zillennial. I'm right there on the end of doing things one way and the beginning of doing things a new way. So I'm trying to figure all these things out. So for me, it's still natural to drive for dollars and knock on doors, and if I see a piece of property I like, I pull it up on LandGlide, and then I'll go knock on the door of the owner and just say, hey, can you tell me about this property? So knowing the market and staying here close. We built the containers out, we built the tree house out, and then the next thing we do, we start looking, okay, we need to go to Blue Ridge and build one. We need to go to Savannah and build one on Tybee Island. And we bought those properties. And then here I am trying to logistically build in Chattanooga and Blue Ridge, in Chattanooga and Blue Ridge and Dahlonega, and then Tybee, and I'm pulling my hair out and I'm not having any fun anymore. So then I start looking, I'm like, okay, well, here's 2 lots up here that are 5 minutes from our treehouse and containers. Logistically, it makes more sense for me to build these two new tiny homes on these 2 new brow lots that are 5 minutes away from our other projects than to go build in Savannah and Blue Ridge. So, that works for me.
Yeah, I mean, why not, man? When you're right there, when you're able to just do it right in your own backyard or close to it. I guess to me right now, like what I'm wondering, and especially in regards to what we are calling this, is how to raise money, right? And how to get these properties funded. So especially with it being so unique, I wonder, I've raised a lot of money for we just raised one for a commercial deal with storage facilities. We've raised for short-term rentals. We've raised for long-term rentals. We raised for flips. A lot of that is pretty simple to kind of explain to someone who might be interested. But hey, a treehouse or a container home, like, was that tough to convince someone, hey, this is going to be worth it, even though it's not, a typical single family home?
For me, it wasn't because I had a track record. But going back to how I kind of got into seller financing and raising private capital, post recession, 2010 through 2012, I'm sitting over here moping, working 3rd shift as a police officer, trying to, keep sane. And I'm like, still doing some real estate during the day, buying a rental here and there, all that I could qualify for. But I'm getting beat out on these offers by cash buyers. And I'm like, man, the banks won't loan any money right now. I cannot get money from the bank. So I start having conversations with some of my parents' friends, that are retirement age, and I get some that hit and say, okay, we want to invest, and we'll put up the money, you do the flips, and we'll split them 50-50, and for somebody that was working 3rd shift and not able to get the capital at the bank at the time, that was a good deal for me. So we're 3 projects in, they've gone real well, and had 6 more properties under contract, and they call, say, hey, Mike, we're getting ready to travel, and we're not going to do any more investing right now. So here I am with 6 properties under contract and no money to purchase.
Wow.
So, talk about fear and oh man, what am I going to do? I don't want to lose these properties because they were good properties. Some were, we were holding for rentals, and some we were going to flip. So I'm like, okay, I got to step back and punt here. I started driving to the different title companies that we had worked with over the years, and I just walk in, say, hey, y'all know me, we've done business. I've got these 6 properties under contract. Do you know anybody that would be interested in lending on these properties? And the second title company I stopped at said, yeah, I call so and so, and it was somebody I knew, somebody I'd known for years and worked with, and I just never had thought of having that conversation. I called him up. He said, yeah, come get me. We'll ride around and look at them. And we spent a few hours just driving by the properties, didn't go in them. Yeah, it looks good. Let me know when you need the money. And,
Wow.
Since then we've done over 200 deals together where, he puts up the money and I'll buy them. And, there's no red tape, no appraisals, no, so that's short-term funding, that's a 12-month interest only.
Okay.
When you sell, that kind of thing. So, but that got the bug, that planted the seed for the rest of it. So, people see you doing, 200 properties in a 2 to 3 year span, a 3 to 4 year span, I guess. They notice, so then they're coming and having that conversation. Hey, I've got a little bit of money. Can you put it to work? And that's kind of the, I'm not dealing with a lot of $1 million lenders. I'm dealing with somebody that has 150,000 in their IRA and wants to lend it out long term, and doesn't want to have to work it every day like the short term lender does.
Right.
So those are the people that I'm reaching out to now to fund these short-term rental unique stays that the banks aren't willing to fund.
So back up just for a second, because you told me that you were a police officer first, and that's when you were going out and raising money and looking for these deals.
So I'm one of those jack of all trades, master of none. I don't know how many, couldn't tell you how many jobs I've had, and
Yeah.
and going back to those jobs, I've worked as a welder for DuPont. I worked as a welder for the road. I drove at UPS and loaded, and I worked as a firefighter, a police officer, pest control, insurance.
Wow.
All those were night shift jobs to where I could continue to do real estate during the day, but I was afraid to give up the benefits
Mm.
and afraid to give up the steady income until that lender, the one that helped me with those first 6 houses and then eventually over 200. We were riding in the truck one day and he said, "Mike, that job's costing you money, don't you?"
Mm.
I just kind of looked at him and I turned in my notice the next day. So that's
Wow.
it's hard to, when you have somebody harping, your parents, my parents, get a good job, get something with benefits, and you need to provide, and so you as a young man, that's all I heard was I've got to provide for my family, and this is how to do it. So getting past that was one of the biggest obstacles, and once I got past that, it's been all good.
So even though you had this guy telling you, like, why are you still in that job? It's costing you money, and you're putting in your notice the next day. I'm assuming even after you put in that notice, there probably was still some fear left over. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't know that the fear ever goes away. It's, there's days as a real estate investor, you've got highs and lows, and there's days where you're like, man, a job where I just go to work and get off at 3:30 every day would be nice. Instead of painting doors and
Yeah.
working in Blue Ridge from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. or whatever it is. But
So,
it's
go ahead.
given me the freedom to do what I want when I want.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, I'm sure there was some sort of affirmation that you got from this guy in the car with you that was ready to lend on, 200 deals for the next 3 or 4 years. Was there some sort of affirmation that you got when he asked that question?
Just him asking the question was all the affirmation I needed.
Mm. Yeah.
He's one of those guys when he's talking, you need to listen, and he always has something wise to say.
So this person sounds like not only a lender, but maybe a little bit of a mentor as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, he's on speed dial.
That's awesome. And this person came just from going to the title company and saying, I need help finding someone to fund the deals.
Yeah, that's my driving for dollars. The
Yeah.
real.
That's so good, man. I mean, and this is part of why I was excited to have you on the show, is because, you keep things so simple, right? Like there's a lot of people out there that say, I don't have the connections, I don't have the money, I don't have the knowledge. And, here you are. This is an amazing story. You were a police officer and you were doing some deals on the side, and then you get this guy, and now suddenly you're doing 200 deals in the next few years. Why? Because you did some work and you asked for some help, right? You just went out there and did the thing. So what is it that, I mean, is it really just as simple as that, or are we missing anything from this story?
And I think it is.
Yeah.
I was on a cruise. It was a real estate investors cruise. It's probably 2015, and we'd come out of the seminar. The little hour TED talk or whatever they gave, and I walk out into the hallway, and this lady was just standing there, like frantically walking past this door back and forth. And it's a big door that had a big red F on it, and she just kept walking back, and 2 or 3 minutes go by. We're standing out there. 2 or 3 minutes go by. I said, "Ma'am, are you okay?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm waiting on somebody to come out of the bathroom." I said, ma'am, that's the fire extinguisher, so what I took from that is, if you don't know, ask. And, I go to these seminars. I try to go to one a month to where I'm, learning something new. And then the biggest thing is take what you're learning and come back and implement it. But these seminars, the seminar after the seminar at the dinner table, when you're sitting around with people that you don't know and you're talking, I've never just asked for private money, other, driving to the title companies. But when I'm sitting down and having these conversations, I'm telling stories about what we're doing, and they ask to be a part of it. More times than not. So that's where my lenders are coming from, is going to these events where, if the IRA, my IRA is with Quest Trust, and, they put on multiple events throughout the year. And when they have an event, I try to go, because I'm in a room with people that have self-directed Roth IRAs that they want to lend with. So what better room to be in? And then, when you get in those rooms, ask the questions. We were at a seminar a couple years ago in Tampa, and they said, we're going to do a hot seat at the end of the day, and submit your questions before lunch, and we'll get you up there if there's enough questions. If there's, we'll try to get you up there. Well, after lunch, they said nobody submitted a question, so I put on the paper. There's 300 people in the room. I wrote on the paper. I said, what is the best way to have a conversation with a private lender to utilize their funds? And, they call me up there, and I get back to my seat, and my friends are all looking at me. They're like, why did you ask that? I said, I'm in a room full of private lenders. Why would I not ask that?
Right.
I had eight people come up to me after.
Oh my gosh.
And then one of those is who funded the treehouse. So you don't know unless you ask.
Well, it kind of goes back to a lot of the things that I share with my audience and my students comes from one thing that one of my mentors told me when I was first starting out in flipping houses. And that is, if you don't tell everyone in your network what you're doing, then you're not open for business.
No.
And even those people in the room, you don't know them personally, but at that moment, they're in your network, right? Absolutely. You can, if you choose to, grab their attention, and instead of pitching something, right, you just asked a simple question that showed, hey, this guy might have some deals that I can lend on. Right. And to me, like, that's all it comes down to. I think everyone that gets into real estate or into short-term rentals and is trying to find the deal, is trying to find the money, is trying to find the clients, one of the things they're just not doing is they're just not talking. They're not talking to people. They're not sharing. They're not asking. They're just thinking, I'll sit in front of Zillow all day long and some money and a deal eventually will appear. And when it doesn't, then they're wondering why they're not getting any deals. Like,
definitely.
That's just again, like, am I oversimplifying this thing, or is that what you think?
To me, it's that easy.
Yeah.
But to others, it scares them to death.
Why do you think that is? What is that fear coming from? You talked about having some fear of leaving your job. Where was that fear coming from? And is that applicable to other people that you feel like are searching for those answers and maybe being held back by fear?
Well, I think, they just don't, most of the time they just don't know, and they don't understand the process, and they hear a private lender tell them 10% on a short-term deal, and they're like, 10%, I can go to the bank and borrow it for 5%,
Right,
for
right.
a new construction. Well, heck, when you add the fees, the appraisals, everything else that the bank requires for a construction loan, and then look at the 10% that I'm paying, it works out about $400 different for me to use private money than it does to go to the bank. And that was when rates were good at the bank. So why would I not go? The speed of money and the velocity that capital can be deployed is so much quicker with the private lender. I can have it in 2 days instead of 2 months with the bank. So I think people freak out about the number, the rate, and then they don't completely understand the terms. And I try to go to creative deal structuring as classes as many times as I can, because I'm always picking up a different idea, and okay, and now I can apply this in this situation, or this would have worked in that situation. I've given full price on properties that I didn't want to, but they're willing to sell or finance at 0%. So what does, in if you're comparing that drops that price way down by not having that interest on there. So
Yeah.
just learning the lingo, and that's I compare that to speaking a foreign language. If you're in a room with people talking creative deal structure and creative finance, until you learn the language, you're going to feel lost. But just get in there and ask questions. I promise you, people that like creative deal structuring like to talk about creative deal structuring.
Absolutely. Well, and that is something I've been wanting to ask you, but we keep getting off onto some more creative subjects here. 200 deals in 3 or 4 years. Like, what are those deals looking like? Is that just a bunch of different types of deals? I mean, I know you don't have 200 short-term rentals. We'll put it that way.
No, that was fix and flips and
Nice.
Long-term rentals.
Nice. That's awesome.
So I say 200 deals. It was 200 doors.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So some of them might have been multifamily.
There was some quads, and then I had one 28 unit building, things like that. So
okay. You've done a lot of different exit strategies. So is it for you about diversification? Is it about pivoting with the market? Like, why try a bunch of different new things?
Well, it's in that book, Who Moved the Cheese. I try to kind of stay ahead of where the cheese is going. And, I quit flipping about 2 years ago, and then focus more on the unique short-term rentals.
Mm-hmm.
We sold off a lot of our long-term rentals because I feel like we're at the top of the market. We sold them and exchanged into better properties. So, when you're at the top of the market, you want to get rid of those, the low end properties, and exchange into higher end properties. Even though you're paying more for the higher end properties, you're just moving the equity, but you're getting a better property with less hassle. That's the way I look at it. But
that's good.
So that's the shifts. We've done self-storage, we have commercial warehousing, and it's just, trying to be in 3 or 4 different real estate niches that I enjoy.
So I guess, being a devil's advocate, going back to what you said about building deep instead of building wide, is that contradictory? Do you feel like?
I don't think so. I mean, I went 16 years building deep before I started going wide.
Oh, there you go. 16 years is a long time. Wow. Okay. So you also have shared that these self-directed IRAs is a lot of ways that you're getting money. Can you just break that down? What is a self-directed IRA? Why is that a popular way for you to find money?
So, it's a self-directed IRA. It's the same as your IRA that you would have at work, or a 401k. It's just a different, retirement tool. And we contribute to it annually, and then we turn around and invest that into real estate, which is what I know. I don't know stocks. I don't know that investing game. So I'm investing in what I do know. I don't necessarily like to hold property in my IRA, but you lose the tax benefits. You lose a lot of that goes along with owning real estate. So what I've done with my IRA is purchase a property at a discount, turn around and sell it on time, and that way I've gotten the property back out of the IRA and created a note. So then my IRA is holding the note for that asset instead of holding that asset. That's how I worked mine. But there's millions and millions and millions of dollars sitting in Roth IRAs that aren't being worked. Money coming in and just sitting for years because somebody's waiting on a 12% return when they could have gotten 10 for 2 years without looking for that diamond in the rough. So there's money sitting there. You just got to get in front of them and have that conversation.
Yeah. So a lot of people, like you said, have money in their Roth IRA. Are you educating them about how they can move it over to a self-directed IRA to invest more in real estate?
Yeah, we've helped a couple move over their IRAs over to self-directed to where they can participate in what we have going on. And that's not for everybody. Not everybody wants to move their entire portfolio into a self-directed account that they have that they're controlling rather than a broker. They trust the broker to do it a lot of times more than they trust themselves to do it.
Okay, cool. One more question for you here, and then I want to give our audience an opportunity to stay at one of your unique places. You're doing a really cool thing for us, and letting our audience take a look at some of your places, maybe stay at them. But one thing for me that I get a lot is, how are you structuring raising money? Whenever I'm responding to that, it's really a case by case scenario of what is a win for that lender. Do you kind of go the same route, or is it more of you have a cookie cutter option or two that you have for these lenders?
No, definitely. I have lenders that want amortized over 15, 20 years. I have
Mhm.
lenders that want interest only, paid annually. I have lenders that want interest only. They pay it, when we sell the property. So every lender is different. Everybody is different with their money and how they feel about their money and how long they want it out and working. So if I'm working on a quick flip or a rehab, I want that 12-month money, and I'm willing to pay 10% for that, versus if I'm doing a long-term amortization where they're putting their money and not having to work it, I'm going to be at 6 to 7%. So that's, if you've got an active investor over here that's wanting to keep their money turning, they're going to be in that 10% to 12% category. And then you've got the more passive that wants to just put it to work and let it go. We're 6 to 7% there. So it's based on the lender and what they want when we talk up front. And I'm not going to, I'm going to have the conversation regardless. If they come back and say, I want 15%, well, we're not a good fit, but I'll keep you in mind if something comes up and I need, capital quick.
Right.
And then the other one, if they say they want to put their money to work, we might use the 10% money to build the property and then refinance it with the long-term money. It's just the shipping containers. There's 3 mortgages on that property. There's one for 2 different containers, and then there's one from the seller of the land. So the 2 container notes came in subordinate to the land, which was seller financed at 1%.
Nice.
And they were okay with that. They understand that, hey, I'm in second position, I'm in third position, but I did have that conversation and let them know that on the front end.
So when I'm hearing, and this is kind of a chicken before the egg sort of question, you're getting the money, and when the deal comes, you're hitting up your lenders on, hey, I found something that's in your buy box, versus, hey, I got a deal and now I need to go find the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. When someone's just getting started, do you think that's the way to do it, or do you think getting the deal is the way to get started?
I think when somebody's just getting started, they need to get with somebody that's done it before and partner with them, JV, and split the deal. I know nobody wants to do that, or, a lot of people don't want to do that, but man, don't jump in there and mess yourself up and mess somebody else's retirement funds up and start off on the wrong foot. Get in there and do it with somebody that's done it, and you'll be all right.
That's good. All right, Michael. Well, we talked a lot about raising capital, not even just for short-term rentals, but your short-term rentals are awesome, and you're giving away a really cool opportunity for our audience. You want to share that for a second?
Yeah, if any of your audience wants to come and stay, they can book one of our properties at wanderchat.com. And that's WANDERCHATT.com, and use discount code FEARLESS10 for 10% off of your stay if you'd like to come and stay with us.
Is that all lowercase?
Yes.
Fearless10. All right.
Yep.
Wander chat with 2 T's.com. Code is fearless. Oops, I accidentally misspelled that. Fearless10, not Fearless K10. I just put that in our chat here. So Fearless10 is the code, and you can get a discount on any of these awesome places in Georgia and Tennessee. So thank you so much, Michael. That's awesome. We're going to go ahead and keep you in here for our 6FF chat, and we got a few questions to address. So let's go ahead and get to that. But Michael, before we do, where can people find you, and any last words for our audience?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram or TikTok at Find Your Repurpose, or on Facebook at Michael Hicks, or you can call me at 423-413-6132.
Oh my goodness, look at that phone number.
Yeah,
one more time on that phone number.
Yeah, 423-413-6132.
There you go. We'll put that.
Only call if you have funds to lend. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
No. Well, hey, I got a feeling your phone's going to get a few calls here, but we'll go ahead and put that in the show notes for you guys too. Michael, thank you so much for helping our audience to conquer the world of raising money for short-term rentals.
Yeah, glad to be here.
All right, so you can claim that discount if you want to stay over at any of Michael's short-term rentals, those unique stays. They look awesome. Really excited for you to go check that out. Just go over to the show notes in the podcast, or if you're on the YouTube channel right now, just go down to the description and you can click on that and use the coupon code to claim your 10% discount. So that's going to do it right now for the Fearless Investor Podcast. We're helping you to conquer the world of short-term rentals. I'll see you again.